Hey guys, this class is what exactly is syndication. The basic disclaimer that you're going to see on every class that we do, basically, I'm not a CPA, I'm not an attorney, I'm definitely not your CPA or your attorney, so everything we're going to talk about is based on real world experiences, things that I've done, things that I've learned, and the way it all works, right? So please, everything we talk about, you need to consult your own CPA, your own attorney, right? So keep that in mind all the way through this. So the goals and objectives of the class. We want to define what a syndication is. We want to understand why you need to register your syndication with the SEC and the basic players involved in a syndicated offering. Did you know that by purchasing as a syndication, you can buy a larger and higher quality asset than you could on your own? A syndication is a great way to make real estate a full-time endeavor and not just a hobby. To ensure you have a successful syndication business, you must treat it as a business from day one. So don't make the mistake of, oh, this is just something I'm doing on the side. It needs to be legitimate. It needs to be a real business. This is not a single family thing that you're doing. This is a real business. Treat it that way from the beginning and it'll serve you well. So what is a syndication? So basically a syndication is anytime you bring multiple people together, you pool your money and you go out and buy something. That's what it is, right? It's the pooling of funds by multiple investors to fund a purchase, and in this case, it's real estate. Now, the key thing there is a syndication can be used for anything. You could buy a Snickers bar as a syndication. It's just pooling your money together as a group to go out and make a purchase. The deal sponsor will usually make all the day-to-day operating decisions. Some sponsors provide for a vote on capital events, but not all do. So you got to understand, as you're coming in to a deal, your limited partners, your passive investors, you usually won't have much say in the way the deals run. Most are structured as an LLC for asset protection purposes. You can structure this however you want. Most people are going to do it as an LLC, a limited liability company. So, why would you want to syndicate? So we're going to go through some of the bullet points, but we'll kind of talk about it as we go. It allows you to purchase larger assets than you could otherwise have purchased using your own money, right? So you might have $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 to your name. But if you were to take that $100,000 and get 10 other people to come in at $100,000, now you can buy roughly, in theory, 10 times the asset that you could have before. So it's a way to basically scale up your operation more quickly. It's a way to scale your business much more quickly, like we just said. The larger a property is, the easier it is to run. Also, the larger your portfolio is, the easier it is to manage the portfolio. Now, a lot of people don't understand that. Why would a 400 unit be easier to run than a 20 unit? Well, because you have staff, you have more quality staff, you have more staff, right? You have people to do the day-to-day things for you that you don't have to do. You have a lot more specialization as well. You can be compensated multiple ways when you do a syndication. So it's not just money in produces a return on that money. This is your daily job. This is your everyday job. This is what you do for a living, right? So you're going to be compensated in many different ways because there's a lot of risk, liability, and stress that go along with this. So you will be compensated for it as you go. What to syndicate? Again, you can syndicate anything. Most every large purchase made in the U.S. is done as a syndication. A restaurant, a nightclub, a hotel, a sports team. Those are almost never bought by one individual. Those are almost always pooling money together to go out and buy an asset together. Again, you can do a candy bar if you choose, right? That's just to illustrate a point. It doesn't have to be anything specific. I hope to one day syndicate a baseball team. We just talked about, a sports franchise. I want to own a AA or a AAA baseball team in time. That is something I will do as a syndication. Most large investments, like we talked about, they are done as syndications. So this might be new to you, but it's been around forever and everybody's doing it, right? So we're just teaching you how to do it for yourself. I will be covering syndicating apartment complexes because that's what I do. That's what I know. That's what this course is all about. Again, you can apply this to pretty much anything you do because this is just the syndication process is all this is. This is not teaching you how to underwrite or how to assess a deal. I assume if you've come to this course, right, you already know how to invest in real estate. So you're just trying to turbocharge your business. Who are the players in a syndication? You have the LP and the GP, right? So the GP is the general partner. They are the ones that are going to run and operate the deal. They'll find the deal, close the deal, fund the deal. They will work with maybe an outside company, a general contractor, and they will work on the rehab of the property. They're responsible for the day-to-day operation of the property. They're responsible for the disposition of the property or the sale of the property. Same thing. You may even do a cash-out refi or what's called a supplemental loan. They're the ones that are going to be doing this. You're taking this course, so that prospectively is going to be you. You're going to be the one as the GP that are going to run this whole thing. A GP can be you as an individual, or it can be 2, 3, 4, 5 people put together with everybody having a distinct and legitimate role in the GP company, right? And then you have the passive or the LP, the limited partner. They're the people that are going to provide money for the deal, along with you. Most GPs, most deal sponsors or syndicators will put money into their own deals, but most of your capital is going to be raised from limited partners or passive investors. Again, they're passive. They're not going to have a say in the day-to-day operations of the company. Some will think they do, but your documents that you're going to draw up with your syndication attorney will lay that out very clearly, that they are not involved day-to-day. That is all on you, right? Their limited partners are not going to sign on your loan either. If they decide to, if you ask one of them to, you can and they can sign for you on that loan. If they choose, you'll need to talk about compensation. That's a negotiation between you and them. How do you compensate them for that added risk? That's something you'll cover in the future. But for now, just know that a limited partner, they are not going to be signing on the loan. They have limited liability in this limited liability company. And then what's a security? We talked about what a syndication is. And again, a syndication, we're just pulling our money together as a group to go out and buy something. That's it. A security, on the other hand, security defined any time you raise money from others with the expectation of recognizing a profit, and you or your GP do all of the work to generate that profit. So basically, we're all going to invest together, but everybody's depending on me for the profit or loss of this property, of this business endeavor. That is now a security. You have got to register that security with the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission. A good syndication attorney will help you navigate all those waters, but that's what a security is. And I want to talk about that because a lot of people think they're the same thing. A syndication is the same as a security. No, you don't have to have a security to do a syndication, right? So that's what a security is. You must register it with the SEC. Again, get your syndication attorney involved. They'll help you navigate all those waters. When would it not be a security? If you raise money from others, but the duties of the generating that expected profit is shared amongst the members, right? So again, you can raise money as a group to go in and syndicate a purchase. But if you all have a voice at the table, you're all part of the decision-making process, you probably have a partnership or a joint venture. It's not a security necessarily, right? So there is a very distinct difference. There is a very distinct thing that a security is. Talk with your syndication attorney. They will explain it to you in more detail if you need, and they will help you get it filed properly. So, when we go to file a security, register a security with the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, we have to supply all kinds of documentation. And if you were to take something public on the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ, right, there is a huge bunch of stuff that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to, it'll cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars. There's all kinds of compliance. There's all kinds of oversight that you have to conform to, basically. We are going to file with a Reg D exemption, a Regulation D exemption. To avoid all this, as it says, you can file it as a private offering and use a Reg D exemption, eliminating the need for full registration. So again, the key here is it's a private offering that will have a PPM, a private placement memorandum. But because it's private, you can file for this exemption, keep it private, keep that in mind, we'll talk about that, but keep it private, and now you don't have to go through all the hoops, all the regulation, all the red tape. You still have some things you have to do to keep yourself on the right side of the law, to keep yourself legal. But again, your attorney will help you with that. So, key takeaways of exactly what a syndication is. Syndications are not just for real estate. As we've mentioned, you can choose to syndicate anything. You want to buy a car, and you can convince other people to put money into the deal to buy a car that only you're going to get to drive. Well, I don't know who in the hell would do that, but in theory, you could, right? So again, it's just pulling money together to go out and make a purchase. That's it. By syndicating, you can scale your business more quickly than you can if you go it alone. So again, if you purchase with your own checkbook, with what you and your family have by yourself, you might be able to buy a 5 or 6 unit property. You bring in 5 to 10 different people, you could probably take that to a 24 to a 48, maybe even a 60 unit property. So you're going to bring other people into the deal to help you buy a bigger property that's easier to run, and the whole thing is just, it can be a lot more lucrative as well. Syndicating is more difficult than buying yourself outright, and that's something to understand very, very clearly. When you syndicate, even though your documents will clearly spell out that you are the lone decision maker of the day-to-day operation, you're still going to have other personalities involved in your company. You have to keep that in mind. The easiest way to buy an apartment complex is doing it by yourself, with nobody involved. You don't have to answer to anybody. You're not accountable to anybody. But one downside of that, if you're left to your own devices and you don't have investors expecting you to hit the numbers you said you would likely hit, a 6% return, a 7% return, and instead you think, you know what, I want to reinvest all the profit back into the property for the first 3 years and pay out nothing. Well, you're probably not going to be able to do that because that's not what you told your investors potentially. So doing a syndication is a good way also to keep you kind of in line with your business plan and your investment thesis. So again, that's what a syndication is. Hopefully this made sense. You understand the value of it. You understand some of the legality of it. That's it.